So Jay, it's been a while. How are things with you and the team?
Things are going really well, to be fair. Obviously, all excited now for the first game of the season. It's been quite a long off-season since our last game, obviously, the back end of April, and then pre-season being 8 weeks long with a 5-day taper. It's felt like an eternity getting here, but the players are in good spirits. We're prepared, we're excited, and like I said, looking forward to the first game of the season.
And you've had the summer to go over the events of last season. Do you have any other further reflections on it?
We did a big reflection piece, to be fair, over the off-season. Really delighted with the back end of the season. We obviously want to take that form now into the first game of the season, but it's difficult, obviously, with the lack of game time over it. But I think the biggest reflection was how we developed over and grew over the season, both physically and tactically. I think we found quite quickly the demands of the league, what we needed to adapt, what we needed to tweak. The new additions coming in January gave us an understanding of probably what we needed to look for in the market over the summer, and we've obviously done that.
And it's the first time we've spoken since you were named Barclays WSL2 Manager of the Season. Congratulations, and how much of an honour was to pick up that award?
It was a real honour, to be fair. Not only a personal achievement, but I think it's kind of recognition to the team behind the team, and also to all the playing group and all the operational staff too. It was, as a whole, it was a group success to stay up last season. Everyone put time and effort to obviously achieve it, and obviously you're achieving that award, such a prestigious award to win. You only have to look at the names that have won it prior to that. And the people that you're surrounded with at the LMA Awards evening. So, it was a real honour, but it was, like I said, recognition for the hard work that everyone put in behind the scenes to attain our championship status.
And it's been a big summer of change. Can you just outline the work that's gone in from the club over the off-season?
Yeah, I think it's been probably the biggest shift in transition we've had. When we thought it'd be nice to have some stability, we've obviously moved training facilities from having at Waterlooville now to the John Jenkins. Increases our professionalisation with the provision that we now have in place. Number of staffing roles. Obviously, we're at that stage now where final stages of recruitment of bringing in and adding quality to the staffing group and being able to spread the workload from last season, which will really help moving forward. And then from the playing group, obviously a lot of work's gone on behind the scenes with Grace to bolster our squad, essentially. We made some big decisions over the off-season. Some players that have spent a lot of time here and have been highly successful here. But we've highlighted a certain profile that we now believe we need in certain positions to compete at this level. So yeah, we've had, 11 new signings or 10 new signings come through the door now, so really happy with each of them, not only as a player but as a character. So yeah, lots of work's gone on behind the scenes. As soon as that final whistle at Blackburn on that last game in April to now, there's been a lot of work behind the scenes. So happy with where we're at, but it's still a long way to go before we're in a place where I really feel we'll be ready to compete.
And you mentioned it there, but the team moving training ground to now being at the Pompey and the Communities John Jenkins Stadium, how much of an impact has that had?
Not only on us as a staffing group and a playing group. I think walking into that building, obviously first and foremost, it's a quality building, newly resurrected, and it's been obviously designed to act like a high-performing environment. With obviously the analysis hub and the gym, having everything on site, your basic commodities that a professional football club needs that we didn't have last year. So I think that kind of highlights the achievement or magnifies the achievement even more from last season, but also for the community as well. And we've got a real strong link now with Pompey in the community, with Craig, with Claire, with Kirsty too. We can further align that pathway. They obviously have the younger girls squads all the way through from the ETC under 8s all the way through to their BTEC team. So we can now align that with obviously the Professional Game Academy and the first team, which is something that we've been wanting to kind of add that kind of final piece for the club. So, we're really happy to have moved in there. They've been really accommodating for us, and it's, like I said, allowed us to really kick on and become that professional club and have the high performing environment that we need.
And moving on to recruitment now, Jazz Bull was the first summer signing, returning to the club after a loan spell last season. And you also named her club captain. How pleased are you to have her back?
I think it was a big signing for us when we brought her in January anyway. Come with pedigree, having won this league, having played at Super League 2, obviously in the Scotland Youth International as well. So she came with pedigree, came with experience, but came with real character and real charisma. Felt straight away she kind of magnetised to the community and to the fans, and kind of became a little bit of a cult hero really within that short period. So for us, she was one of the top targets we wanted to bring in over the off-season. She obviously knew how we as staff operate. She knew how the club wanted to go and where they wanted to go, and we wanted her to be a big part of it. And I think over them kind of 5-6 months that she was at the football club, not only with the playing group and the staff, but I think, like I said, she built a real alignment with the fans. She understood what it meant to wear the badge, and with that, she was obviously named captain. I think she has all the qualities, and she's one of quite a few that we believe have the qualities, the leadership qualities, and you need more than one captain obviously in that dressing room. But for me, Jazz was the standout in terms of communication, her respect, her hard work, and she's everything that we see in a Pompey player. And for us, especially for the younger players coming through, they now have an internal role model that they can look up to.
And you also brought in Jess and Comfort to the goalkeeping department. What strengths do they add to the group?
I think straight away you've got character there, especially in Comfort. Fantastic character around the group, but you've got two really focused, determined young individuals who want to grow. Comfort obviously coming from Brighton's youth setup there. She's had some good loan spells, so kind of come with pedigree, comfortable on the ball, wants to play out, and has real qualities that we can see growing with us. Jess probably has a little bit more pedigree in terms of having been in and around the first team at this level. She was Charlton's #1 a couple of years ago and had a real good season. Last year, competing with Sophie Whitehouse for her was obviously a good challenge for her. And in the moments that she did play, she stood out for us. Her framework, 6'2", comes in, claims, crosses. So yeah, both give us something a little bit different in the goalkeeping department, but both are competing. Really, really happy with the additions we've added there.
And defenders Lucy Johnson, Annie Wilding and Greta Humphreys have all strengthened the back line. What can we expect to see from them?
Yeah, so Lucy's obviously a tenacious fullback. She stood out in that final game against Blackburn, and it was the first real time I'd seen her, having joined Blackburn in January. Naturally left-footed, so that obviously gives you some balance on the outlet when you're playing. Really, really strong in 1v1 defending. I think she had a real good battle with Megan Hornby in that Fratton Park game. So, and again, she comes with character. She's a real humble, hard-working individual, and someone that really complements the dressing room. And in Annie Wilding and Greta, we've got two centre halves that are comfortable on the ball, want to progress, whether that be through passes, through dribbles. So something we've highlighted to try and complement Han Cohen and Izzy Collins. We've got 4 different centre halves that can all offer something different. Allows us to play a back 4, allows us to play with a back 3 too. So really happy with their additions, and again, similar to Luce, 2 really, really good characters to have in the building.
And then Tia Primer and Jemima Dahu both arrived from Blackburn in midfield. How would you describe those two as players?
Extremely technical, very, very proficient on the ball. I think both players, Tia's already had obviously exposure at Super League, and you can see that. Jemima, I think, has the potential to play at that level. I think the vision of both players, the understanding of the game, the IQ of football is both there to see. Tia's tenacious. She can play multiple positions. She brings a real fire to our attacking lineup. So been really impressed with her over pre-season, not only with the ball but against the ball too, in terms of supporting our high pressing model that we obviously want to implement. And then Mimes probably brings a bit of composure in that midfield too. We've got a real strong quartet of kind of midfielders in there with obviously Annie H and Ava and G. So obviously her addition adds something different. She's been schooled at Man City, so that kind of shines in terms of what her qualities are on the ball. And yeah, she'll bring something a little bit different in that midfield, which we've probably been needing for a couple of years.
And then Ange Nixon, Ella Rutherford and Jessie Gale have come into the forward line. What qualities will they bring to the group?
Yeah, so Jessie's only obviously come in the last couple of days. Arsenal obviously rate her highly, and we're really grateful for the opportunity to bring her here on loan. We watched a lot of her when she was at Watford last season, and we know how difficult the FA WSL is as a young player. So we were impressed by some of the kind of highlights and the moments that she had for Watford. But she just brings pace, she brings tenacity, she brings humility. Again, similar to Tia in terms of that fire. Wants to run in behind, wants to stretch play. Again, offers a different dynamic if we're wanting to obviously stretch the opposition or getting behind high back lines, which we noticed was a trend throughout last season. And comes with a bit of pedigree, obviously playing with the England youth setup too. Other two signings there, I'll leave Ella for in a minute, but I think the other addition there, obviously Ange, unknown quantity, coming from Tier 3. She's physical, she's strong, she'll give you 110% in every moment of every game. Cracking individual, really, really sound individual, and has taken to well to the group. But I think she'll bring probably a little bit of X factor that we've obviously lacked with Quirky leaving. Someone who can carry the ball, can dribble, can beat people in 1v1 moments, a real good 1v1 merchant, and can score goals not only ground but aerial too. And in Ella, we've obviously got a personality. I'll give you that for sure. She's a cracking character. She's a quality football player. And I think obviously there's a reputation that Ella brings with her character and with her social media presence. But I think you have to delve much deeper than that. She's a quality football player, and that's what we brought her to this football club. She has an incredible left foot, an incredible vision and understanding of the game. She's a player that's obviously played at high level, has had real high ambition, and everyone's spoken about her being in and around the England squad when she was obviously at a young age. She's played at multiple levels. She's played Super League 2, been in and around it for her career, and she's only 25. She's come off the multiple real hard injuries, and she's been in hard places over the last few off seasons. So for us, it's just about getting her back fit, getting her confidence back in there. But as soon as we get her to the level we need to, I genuinely believe we've got a top class attacking player in our ranks in Ella Rutherford.
And of course, a number of departures at the end of last season, players who we wish the best in their future careers.
Yeah, no, obviously wish all of them the best. Obviously 6 departing straight at the end of the season. Players include Nanny Rolfe, who's obviously been at the football club for a number of years, and over the years we've had to say goodbye to players that have been stalwarts in our success. She was cornerstone of success and winning the league title and obviously staying up last season. And her and the other girls, we obviously wish them well. It's good to see them obviously at the new clubs and settling in at Glasgow and Lewis, etc., and Real Bedford with Scarlett. So Daisy Mack as well, scoring goals at Wimbledon. So we obviously keep an eye on them all, and they were a massive part of our success last season. But obviously we did some reflection pieces, and we've kind of identified certain profiles that we want to bring through the door, and we're obviously happy with that. And then obviously the others that returned on loan to their parent clubs. I'm really grateful to Man City and Brighton for the support in the loan market. And then obviously we had Sophie Quirk and Reva Castley departing us too. 2 players that I wanted to keep at the football club. 2 players that I think we could have continued to build success with. But ultimately, as I've previously mentioned, professional football is a lifestyle. It's a 24/7 lifestyle. And for some players coming into it, they enjoy it, they embrace it. For others, it's not for them, and it's a struggle. And obviously that transition we've been through from grassroots to semi-pro to professional within the space of a couple of years is quite quick for some. So yeah, it's sad to see both of them go. I didn't want to lose them, but I respect their decisions. And obviously seeing Sophie Quirk playing well for Bournemouth, there's no surprises there that she's scoring goals and doing what she does at Tier 3, and likewise Reva too, settling back in at Oxford. And as you said then, we obviously wish them nothing but the best in the rest of their careers with Bournemouth and Oxford respectively.
And in terms of the pre-season schedule, a lot of fans are curious as to why they haven't been able to watch the team in action and get to know our new additions. Can you just explain why this is?
Yeah, so we had a good question actually at the fans forum in regards to that. It's not my preference. I think going into the professional leagues, there's a lot of privacy surrounding where you can play games and a lot of home venues not being available for selection. A lot of teams play at their main club stadia, so they don't in pre-season. A lot of the training facilities we've been to with Brighton and Palace and Charlton are at next level, so they can obviously host these games. But a lot of the clubs that we want to play unfortunately don't want to play on 3G pitches. So obviously with our home venue at Wesley Park and our training facility at John Jenkins, clubs don't want to play on it. So we were obviously grateful that Swansea from the Welsh League came down with Izzy coming down and taking the team down at the weekend. But again, that was at the request to play it behind closed doors. So it is a real shame, and I can completely understand the frustration and disappointment from the fans not being able to see the players live. But hopefully now they've got an opportunity at the weekend to come down and support us, and we look forward to sharing that moment on Sunday against Durham.
Yeah, and you mentioned there the games being played behind closed doors. How would you assess the fixtures overall?
Yeah, I think the fixtures were really good, to be fair. I'm really grateful to obviously Watford and Brighton early in pre-season. We were struggling with numbers. Recruitment has obviously been quite a challenge this summer due to the Euros and things taking a little bit longer than we obviously would have liked to get players in. So we went to Watford and Brighton just before our taper with a smaller squad. So 2 60-minute games there. I thought Watford were really good. They posed us some problems, obviously being 3 weeks ahead of us in their scheduling, and they were starting their season only a couple of weeks after. So there was a 1-1 result there, conceding late with a corner, but a couple of trialists and players playing out of position, but overall really good amount of minutes in the legs then. And as I said, Watford provided us a good test, and I expect them to be in and around the top of tier 3. Brighton were a really good exposure for the players in terms of the quality that they brought, the quality they had on the pitch, the rotations and the tactical problems they gave us. We had to obviously solve the problems. That was a difficult game, but a game that we can take a lot of positives from. And then after that, you're obviously playing teams that are in and around our league, barring Swansea at the weekend, which was a comfortable game for us. Games at Crystal Palace and Charlton are challenges, but I think for 135 minutes of them games, the first half against Crystal Palace, I thought we had some real good chances. Megan Hornby, Tia Primer, but we didn't capitalise, and likewise. Then in the second half, obviously, Crystal Palace showed their quality in that game, and I think a few individual errors led to the goals, but we reflected on it, come back against Charlton and put in a real good performance. So really happy to get the win in. It shows that for these group of girls that they can compete at this level. I think the confidence after that shot through the roof, and the belief level that we can compete. It was this time last year we were saying we can compete, and for 14 games we didn't. It was really difficult for us. So yeah, we're taking a lot of learnings. Physically, we look in a much better place than we did last year, and I think the results and performances over pre-season, both individually and collectively, prove that.
What did you set out to achieve in that pre-season block, and how have the team performed against those goals?
I think number one was around physical adaptation. Obviously, last year we reflected on our pre-season plan from last season, probably exposed the players to different elements. And this year we've done a lot of research, Ollie and Webby, the medical and physical team, Luke as well. A lot of research into that, and with the support obviously from those at the men's club too, to ensure that we were attaining fitness, but also preventing injury essentially. So like I said, we had a small group to start with, so ultimately it was about just getting minutes in the legs and getting that feeling of playing a game, because nothing really replicates a game. And then we had a 5-day taper. We come back into the second block, and it was very much around our tactical elements, and we worked on everything we possibly could do within that block. Obviously going to Crystal Palace and pressing them high and trying to build, and then Charlton being a little bit more controlled with the ball, and was really happy with that. And then against Swansea, having an opportunity where we can really dominate the ball against a mid to deep block and try and break a team down that are going to frustrate us. So loads of different challenges. How can we we're going to come up against different teams, different styles, different systems, different players. So for us, it was about exposing the players to that at a real high level. So when they come against Durham first game, it won't be a shock.
How excited are you for the season ahead?
Really excited. I enjoy pre-season. Of course you do. When you come in and you get to embed new players, you get to embed your standards, you get to embed your kind of ideologies of certain strategical adaptations we made from last season, but ultimately you're not playing for points. And when you're playing for points and you're playing in a game that means so much to you personally and to the players and to the fans, and there's points on the line and there's jeopardy, when it all kicks off obviously Friday night with Sunderland, Sheffield, that's when you know it's real now, and obviously that's what you're looking to get towards. You obviously want to be in a good place going into it, and I sit here now thinking from the group of players and the staff that have worked tirelessly hard over this 8-week block, I feel like we're in a real good place now to face Durham, better place than we were the last time we played them at Wesley Park. So yeah, really excited, and I think that feeling's mutual throughout the whole of the group.
And looking forward to Sunday, Durham obviously visiting Wesley Park for our opening fixture. What are you expecting to see from them?
I think you've got to give a lot of credit to Durham over the years. I know they're not aligned or affiliated with a men's club, so how they operate, I think they're got a fantastic blueprint for how they operate. They're a well-established team at this level, a team that were close last season, competed, picked up some real good points and real good wins against some of the top teams, and we're only 7 points off London City Lionesses last season. They score goals, they also concede goals, so very transitional, very physical team, streetwise. They understand the game, and they have some real good, experienced individuals in Sarah Wilson and Saliki and Heppel, who've been around this level for a long time now and know what it means to win games. So they're very good at state of play. They understand what they need to do to win a game and see a game out, and they understand what they need to do to try and change it up. So we're expecting a physical battle. We're expecting a chaotic battle against them, as it always is. And we know it's going to be a tough encounter for the first game of the season.
What are you hoping to see from your side on Sunday, given all the new players that have come into the system?
I'm expecting to see intensity, I'm expecting to see togetherness, and I'm expecting to see bravery. That's the three things that I want to see from this football club and from these players, not only for this first game, but throughout the entirety of the season. I think there's a real good togetherness about the group. You wouldn't have believe we brought in 11 new players when you're coming around. You've obviously been around the building. You can see there's a real good togetherness and a social connection within the group. We want to play with real intensity, whether we got the ball or we haven't got the ball. That is, for me, synonymous with Pompey. Where you need to be a front-footed, aggressive team from minute one all the way through. And then when we have the ball, I want us to be courageous. I want us to play football in the right moments and understand when we need to gain territory and be a bit more smarter and streetwise than we were last season. But I think if we can bring those three things to Durham, as well as all the remaining games, then I think we could have a real good season this year.
Just finally, how great would it be to see as many Pompey fans as possible at Wesley Park on Sunday?
I think that's what we're looking forward to most. Nothing beats a game with crowd. Obviously, you saw it throughout the off-season. You saw it through the COVID years when football without fans is nothing. You need your fans there, and we're obviously really grateful for the kind of loyal supporters that we have, those that we met at the supporters group that are really itching a bit to come back and support us, not only at Wesley Park, but obviously with 4 games at Fratton Park too. That'll hopefully attract fans to come down and support us, and we're obviously grateful to Andy, to Marie, to Neil, to the whole team for obviously allowing us the opportunity to play on them foundations. But obviously at the weekend we're at Wesley Park, a place that we know well, a place that we've made home over the years. Last year we didn't make it a fortress, so I was really disappointed with our home form on that pitch. Maybe moving away from it, from a training venue and training somewhere different, may help us from a psychological point of view. But ultimately we need the fans, we need the 12th player to help the group get over the line. So yeah, looking forward to seeing them before the game, and hopefully we'll share another positive moment after the game too.